Sunday. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of True Story Live. I'm the host, Jason Cripps. And with me, I have the beautiful and lovely, funny, intelligent, and a great cook, and so much more, Jen. And also our producer and friend from Australia, Glenn, is with us today as well. So we're excited to get started tonight. Tonight's topic is open topic, open discussion. So you guys get to talk about whatever you like. We can discuss what you want to discuss, talk about what you want to talk about, and basically have a conversation with you tonight. And if nobody shows up, three of us will talk for a little while, then we'll say goodnight. It'll be an extra break for us. But I can see Torben already popped in. Maybe Torben has a topic to talk about. Hello, Torben. But before we get started, I'll say hello to the rest of the panel. We're starting with Glenn from Australia. Glenn, how are the horses running for your friends over there?
We're just sorting out a problem for him. I've just put him in contact with someone who can help him. So it's good.
One of the horses has a problem?
Yeah, he won't go in the barriers. He's got a mental problem.
Oh,
that's
no.
all right. I like people.
Yeah.
People have mental problems, and so do horses sometimes. You just got to find the remedy.
Yeah. So in golf, they call it the hips. Right?
The hips?
Yep.
What?
So, someone, is like slicing the ball. Someone that's really good at golf, and they keep slicing it. They call it the hips.
What does that have to do with this?
The horse has
question.
I don't understand the connection.
Hello. The horse has the hips. He's supposed to be performing, and he's not. So he's got the hips, the jitters, something's. Glenn said it himself. Mentally, he's got something going on with him, and I just made the point that in golf they call it the hips.
The hips. Okay. Well, you said that someone keeps slicing the ball. Is that a bad thing? Is slicing the ball a bad thing?
Yeah. You want
it.
You want it to go straight.
Understand.
You want it to go straight where you're hitting it. Instead, if you slice it off into the woods.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what that meant. That's why I was lost. I was like, what?
I got you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you being defensive?
Me? No, I'm being I feel bad. I just didn't understand. And that's why I was like, why is this connected? What? Anyway,
well, maybe I'm being defensive because you're like, what is that up? You're like, I'm like, that has everything to do with
it. Are you getting defensive? That's awesome.
Oh, that's funny. So,
hey, Torben.
Yeah, good question. How to know it's true love?
Wow, right out of the gate. It's just the four of us, Torben. It's Glenn and Jen and myself and you. So yeah, we can just have a nice little conversation for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen, do you want to answer that? How do you find true love, or know if it's true love? That's a great question.
That is a really great question.
I like it.
We could spend the whole show on that one.
Well, we might, unless Torben has some more quiver.
Bows
more arrows in the quiver.
I said bows. I'm getting it all confused. That's what you shoot at the arrow.
I did it. I said quivers and
and then I said bows. Bows in your quiver. That's
bows
not correct.
In the quiver. Right.
Arrows in the quiver. Oh man. Gosh, true love.
True love.
I mean, you can find this with people that aren't your true love, but I really believe that someone that you can be your full self with, no holds bar, nothing hidden, just completely comfortably, safely you. I think that's one facet of it, of a bigger picture of love, being in love. But you can have that with friends too, and with family, but I think when you have that with someone that you love, romantically, that's just bam.
Yeah, bam.
What about you?
Okay, so the first part, how do you find true love? Well, I don't know how to answer that. I will say that I was not looking for it. In fact, you probably heard me say on other broadcasts that I was, well, when I say I wasn't looking for it, Glenn did encourage me to see what was out there. So I did look for it a little bit, but I was very disappointed with the dating sites and things. And so I had said, no, that's not the way for me. So technically I was looking for it there toward the end, but for a long time I was discouraged and didn't want to look for it. I was pretty convinced that my time was over. And that's when it happened, when I wasn't looking for it. And I'm not saying it works that way for everybody. I think a lot of people found love when they were looking for it. I mean, I would assume. So just because it worked that way for me doesn't mean it's going to work that way for everybody. I think that anything that you put your mind to, your resources and things like that, in most cases, you have a potential for success. But when it comes to love, I don't think there's a lot you can do about it. That's just my opinion. Either you meet the right person and you both love one another, or you don't. I mean, sometimes you can love someone or feel like you love someone and they don't give you the time of day. I mean, how do you find someone that you love and then also that person love you? I think that's more rare. So
Yeah.
How do you find true love? I would say if you yourself are open to it, having your heart open, being ready on your end to accept love, to be willing to put yourself out there, be willing to be open and authentic with another person. I think you being ready is the best chance you have. You can't make someone else love you, as I was saying. And then how do you know it's true love? That it's something that you know internally. You just know. If you have to ask questions about the person, if you have concerns and things coming up all the time, red flags, things like that. Not saying it's not love. It's just that's concerning to me. With Jen, right from the beginning, for me, I had no concerns and I trusted her. And I don't think that's common either. And I still trust her. Believe it or not, it seems like I trust her more and more as time goes on, which is contradictory, because if I trust her completely at the beginning, then what does that mean? It means I find new ways in which I trust her that I couldn't have experienced until we got to know each other better. That's what that means. Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. So you're up on this one, Glenn. You want to answer Torben's question, how to find true love or know if it's true love?
Isn't the expression true love a tautology? Isn't love true in itself? So I would be inclined to drop the word true and just leave love. I know I'm always going to be the person that's going to say this stuff.
You're making it difficult for Torben.
Well, is not the essence of love based upon truth, or one of the essences of love or truth is embodied in love anyway? But moving to the question, I think it's when each person accepts the other for who and what they are. They don't try to change them. They're at one with the person they find in front of them. And I think this is where a lot of the mistakes come from. People delude themselves into thinking it's love when really it's like
compromising.
There's compromising there. Well, and there's nothing worse than having to compromise your values and your principles first off. To mold yourself to be what someone else wants you. It takes an incredible amount of energy to do that. Look, the end of the day is, look, hey, here I am. I'm available. You want me? I'm available. I like you for who you are. Let's see if you want to make music. It's at least then you're free to make a call that's based on some integrity,
Yeah.
not some kind of, as I said, deluded perception of what someone else might be. Yeah.
Yep.
I think
And I would add, oh, good.
Sorry, Jim, I was just going to say, I think the further you go down the line, the less inclined you are going to put up with BS.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
I was going to add, when you had said, accepting each other wholly for who the other person is, I think you used a different word. But I was thinking, some people can accept another person as who they are and not like it. I would add that it's a delighting in as well, accepting who they are wholeheartedly, but also delighting in who they are. Because someone can accept somebody else and still be like, rolling their eyes and, hey, you're a drag. I'm going to accept it, but you're a drag. Do you know what I mean?
That's a fair point. That's a good point.
Yeah. But you're so right about the compromising. I really had this picture, and I get healthy compromise, totally get it. But when you're like what you had said, Glenn, when you're compromising parts of yourself and who you are and your core values and your morals, yikes. Not good. That was me. That's what I did.
How does it feel now then?
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so full acceptance, safety, love, still, life struggle, still,
Sure.
gets into the bubble that is Jason and I, but being a team, working on things together, praying together, lots of laughter, being equally annoyed with our neighbors who are upstairs moving, and it's annoying.
It is. It is
But,
annoying. I mean, more for Jen than myself, but
yeah. So, how do you learn to be alone and like it? That's another good question, Torben.
It is. Now, can I answer this one?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I like switching up a little bit. I don't want to answer first all the time.
Well, if you can't learn to be alone and contented with that, I think you're wasting your time going out to try to find love with someone else. First off, be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Only then are you truly available. If you don't do that, you're always going to be looking for somebody else to fill the hole that you just haven't got sorted for yourself. Doesn't work. Might work for a while, but long term, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What do you think, Jen?
I actually am going to read something that I saw today that pertains to this.
All right.
Hold on, let me find it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay. People think they're competing with other suitors when dating me, but really, I'm comparing you to my own solitude. That's the competition. Is your company better than being alone? Am I growing around you like I do when I'm alone? Do I feel safe? Is there joy? Is there peace? Do you get it? I just thought it was really cool. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never looked at it that way.
I do get it. It ties into what my dad said in my other marriage. You want to hear this?
Yeah, go ahead.
So he said to me, like right at the beginning, and I had no idea what he's talking about at the time because he preferred being alone. But he said, if you prefer being alone, you shouldn't get married.
He said, if you prefer being alone,
yeah,
you shouldn't get married. Oh,
if you prefer being alone to being with her, you shouldn't follow through with it.
What do you think about those thoughts?
Well, now I have more understanding of it because with her, I did prefer being alone, and I hate to say that, but it was a lot of work, and she didn't make it very fun for me. I mean, that sounds selfish, but I mean, not even enjoyable. Fun's not the right word. It wasn't enjoyable. It was work. It was duty. And I know some marriages are like that. Sometimes, there are things you have to do. I get that. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying because of her choices, because she wasn't doing anything about her own life, it made it tedious and troublesome.
Yeah.
So when she would go to bed, I would be delighted that I would get to spend time with myself and do what I wanted to do. And there was no stress or strain on me.
Yeah.
So anyway, years later, I remembered what my dad said, and it ties into what you just said, Jen, the quote that you read.
Yeah.
So she didn't bring any of those things that the quote mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's sad. Now you bring all of those things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm delighted by spending. I really am. And, I can say every day, oh, I'm delighted to spend time with you and I want to spend time with you. But I don't think I don't think you can ever convince anybody that you really enjoy spending time with them. I mean, how do you convince someone of that?
By spending time with them.
Well, that's what I try to do.
Yeah, you do. You do a great job.
Awesome.
Awesome. And you come and bother me throughout the day. But it's cute.
Good. Yeah, tell everyone what you said to me. You've said this to me a couple times about being annoyed.
Oh, you know how there's this like myth or something where they say, oh, the things in the beginning of a marriage that you find cute about your spouse, at some point in the future, it's going to be what annoys them.
That's not a myth. That's not a myth.
It's not.
No,
well, then now you know
I
why
said
I
that
asked
to you. I said that to you several times. I said that you would say, oh, you'd laugh at something and say, oh, you're hilarious. And I said, yeah, well, enjoy it now, because the very things that that you like now are going to be the things that irritate you later. I mean, I've studied this sociologically speaking, but we know the reason for this. It's not the things themselves. It's the unresolved stuff, the little stuff that never gets discussed, and it builds and builds and builds. And then so on the surface, it's, oh my gosh, the way that she chews her food she's so loud. Or, oh my gosh, I wish she would put the cap back on the toothpaste. Oh my gosh, if she puts the toilet paper on underneath one more time,
Yeah.
It's surface things, seemingly surface things.
Yeah. Well, so what if some of those cute things turn into annoying things, what would you prefer me to do? How should I handle that?
How do you think you handle the same way you handle stuff now? You just come out and tell me.
Yes.
I said, babe, that's annoying. Don't do that.
You know that thing I used to think was cute?
Yeah, I don't think it's cute anymore. Can you work on it? Can you stop?
And you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll work on it. Sure.
What was the thing you brought up the other day? I don't even think I realized I was doing it.
You're still doing it.
It's something to do with the bathroom.
You're still doing it, yeah.
Not clogging the toilet. Okay, wait, hold on.
No, not clogging the toilet.
Was it the toilet paper or something with the toilet paper?
No, it wasn't the toilet paper. I'm reminding you.
Okay.
I asked you not to close the doors to the bathroom, because when we have the air on
oh, I forgot.
In a closed room, it makes it frigid in the bathroom. So when I go in there in the morning, after the door's been closed all night, I'm like shaking when I'm using the bathroom.
So why didn't you tell me I was still doing it?
Because I told you when I brought it up, I said, this is not a big deal. I said, before I say anything, this is not a huge deal. It's a preference. It's not something that drives me crazy. It's just a preference. I mean, okay, I'm cold. I would rather not be cold when I go to the bathroom in the morning. Okay, that's a preference. It's not like, oh my gosh, how irritating this person is that she keeps doing this. It's not like that.
No.
So I didn't say anything about it because, I brought it up. And what was funny was a couple days after I brought it up, I had to go in both the bathrooms because there was no toilet paper in the one bathroom. So I went in the one bathroom, realized there wasn't toilet paper. It's freezing cold in there, and the door was closed. So I went into the other bathroom to get toilet paper, and sure enough, the door is closed on that bathroom too.
Oh no, you know it's weird? I like specifically remember leaving the door open many times, but I have no recollection of closing the doors. I know I do it. I think it's just one of those things that I do without thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
I
I don't
thought
like
it was
being cold
hilarious.
in the bathroom either. I'm like, no.
I chuckled quietly to
Shaking.
myself. There's nobody here. And I just laughed. I said, I just talked to her about this. And here we are. Both doors are closed and it's freezing in both.
You're like, wait a minute, we just talked about this.
We just talked about it. Now, see, if we didn't have a good relationship and if I didn't know your heart, that's a situation where I think I could easily go to this place of saying, she doesn't care about me. She's not listening to me. She
Yeah.
completely ignored what I asked her. If she cared about me, then she would do what I asked her to do. I mean, that could be a place a person goes to.
Yeah.
I don't ever go to that place because it's stupid. First of all, if it was something serious and I said to you, babe, this is very important to me, and then said whatever it is that I said, I believe that you would pay attention and you would work on it. Even if you slipped up a couple times, it'd be something that you would consider serious.
Oh yeah, because there has been other things.
Yeah.
All right, more questions, guys. More questions. Who has questions?
Well, we have a few more people. Let's say hello to Debbie, who always pops in at the beginning and then pops in at the end. So hello, Debbie. And Stephanie is here. Welcome,
Yes.
Stephanie. So Stephanie really asked good questions too. So Torben has asked 2 good questions. So Torben,
Kudos,
we
Torben.
appreciate that. And you get a pass for the rest of the night unless no one else asks any questions. So I'm expecting Stephanie to ask some questions. So Stephanie came in a little bit late, which is no problem. Just letting you know that
It's open topic.
it's open topic. You can ask any questions, any topics.
Even personal questions. If you guys have personal questions for all of us or one of us.
Especially for Glenn. Glenn said
Especially
to
for me.
Glenn said to me before the show, I wish people would ask me more personal questions. I feel like I'm not opening up enough. I'm not sharing enough.
Are you making that up?
Myself. Yes, of course I'm making it up. Does that sound like something Glenn would say?
It did. I was kind of shy. I was like, wow, what growth. Oh my God, I'm crying. Oh. All right, Glenn.
That's all right. I'll remember. It's gone on the spreadsheet.
I'm gonna snort.
I love the spreadsheet. Before we even did True Story Live, Glenn and I would be talking about something, and it'd start to get a little deep. You know, the topic, whatever we're talking about. He'd say, "Hold on, I'm going to go get tea and grab my spreadsheet." So he'd go grab his. At first, when he said it, I had no idea what he's talking about. Of course, I know what it means now. Tea and spreadsheet.
That's when I have to copy stuff down because I actually consider it some value to put it down, keep it.
Oh yeah, I'm not giving you the business. I think it's wonderful if it's something that you see a value and write it down. I think that's great.
But I'll add one thing to Torben. I think that one of the biggest things for me is to be with someone who doesn't need me. I know Sandra nowadays has obviously got serious issues and she needs my help, but underlying all that is neither of us need each other. We don't have to be together unless we choose it. I think that just takes all the pressure off. Stay if you want, leave if you want. The door's open. It's a free choice.
Yeah.
Life's easy. You never have this, she loves me not. No, it's all garbage. Put it away.
It is all garbage. Oh my gosh. Games. Stupid.
Oh, don't need it. No. Who doesn't want a stress-free life? We were saying before the show. Who doesn't want to live in peace and not have concerns about your relationship? I know I don't. That's why we do it in 30 seconds. Got a problem? Got an issue? Bring it up. Get it out of the way. Sort it out.
Yeah.
Bang. Move on.
Yes.
I agree. But I'm glad that you said that, because I think there are people that it seems that they love misery. They seem to want drama and chaos. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've actually met people like that it seems like when things go well, they don't trust it. And
Makes them nervous.
And it makes them nervous. And it just seems like with the amount of drama that encircles the lives of some people, the amount of things that go wrong, it seems like they want it. I mean, to me, from the outside,
Yeah.
if they didn't want it, it seems like my ex, for example, she would complain and complain and complain about the amount of anxiety and depression that she would have. And she had tools at her disposal. I was a tool, but she didn't want, sometimes unless she was having a panic or an anxiety attack, she didn't want to hear from me about how to work on it. In fact, one time she got upset because I was trying to take her through an exercise of relaxation. And she says, "Don't tell me I'm on a beach."
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That could be like a sketch.
That was the last time I ever said it. I was like, "Okay, you're on a beach. It's calm. You hear she said, "Don't tell me I'm on a beach." She didn't want my help. That's the point. Unless she was freaking out. So why did I bring that up? Well, because it seemed like to me from the outside that she must get something out of it. That's my point. So I asked the other members of the panel that question. Is it possible that a person gets something out of being miserable or being in a drama? I agree with what Glenn said. Personally, I agree with what Glenn said. But are there people out there that are addicted to misery and drama and chaos?
I think so. Yeah. My ex was like that. Oh my gosh. Peace wouldn't reign very long. And I just would be like, what? Huh? Like, here again? What? Drama? Craziness? Ah!
Yeah.
God, oh no. And I do think there's a part of me that got used to it. But thank goodness I was never at that point where I got addicted to it. Because I do think there are people that go through toxic relationships and they end up, instead of choosing someone different, they choose someone similar. And then it starts the whole situation. It might look a little bit different, but starts the whole cycle over.
Yeah. Whole
and
process begins again.
Yeah. There's like a weird twisted safety in it.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful that I had go that route.
Oh, me too. I'm glad you like being, like Glenn said, peace.
I like peace.
Yeah.
And I like laughing and getting along and working on things together and being on the same team.
Yeah.
And not like being on, like you against me. Like,
oh
it
my
doesn't have
gosh.
to be that way. Good grief.
Why? Yeah. Why would I want that? Why would I want to be against you? We're on. Yeah. Let's be on the same team.
Yep.
And we are. Yeah. What do you think, Glenn? Are there people out there that get something, whatever that may be, out of drama, chaos, and their own life turmoil?
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure whether they actually want to be there. Maybe it's sometimes they don't know how to be any different. It's like why do some I'll use the word women and hope it's not sexist, choose bad boys all the time? What is it about that? They know that what they're getting into. They know they're bad boys. They know they might cheat on them. They know they're going to be inconsistent. But somehow there's some kind of as Janet's saying, there's some kind of adrenaline that comes with the uncertainty of being with some people who are like that. Whereas I just think it's incredibly boring. Why do I need that hassle? So I think some people do. Oh, look, I'll give you an example. If you're in a miserable place in your relationship, and you go and meet a couple that are exactly the opposite, and you sit in a lounge chair opposite them, and you see them all cuddly and holding hands, you can that you can just you look at those other two people and you'll see the repulsion across their face because it's just so much an antithesis of what they are like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's a hard question, Cripps. I think. Yeah. I don't know. I can't figure it, but I've been there. So I suppose, but I never wanted it to be like that. I just didn't know how to get out of it. That's where I needed help.
Yeah.
And boy, did I need help. A lot of it.
Well, I'm glad you got it. So, what, Jen?
I wanted to answer Stephanie's question because I tried writing it.
Yeah, let me address this real quick. So,
okay.
We have two questions. One is from Stephanie, which Stephanie's was actually first, but Janet's ties into what we're talking about. So what I would like to do is read Janet's comment first.
Okay.
And then we can tie up this particular topic, and then we can move to Stephanie's. And Jen, you're more than welcome to read Stephanie's comment. Okay, so awesome. Janet says, when your adrenal are depleted and/or OCD and having toxic thinking, you can be trapped in fears and drama. Mm-hmm. Like if you haven't slept for 3 days and trying to act normal. Yeah. So just to be clear, Janet, when I was talking about my ex, I wasn't referring to you. I know that you have plenty of struggles, a lot of them being physical, right? So physical pain and things like that. That's completely different scenario. I'm not talking about you. I'm not referring to you. You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there where it's difficult for them to do anything about it. I'm just saying that if you wanted it badly enough, if it meant enough to, not to you, Janet, but to any person. I mean, look, I don't want to generalize, so I'm talking about my ex only. And I do think she's not the only one. I think there are other people out there that could do something about it. They're not trapped by fear. They're not, they don't have physical things keeping them from getting off their butt and going to a therapist or finding a friend that they can confide in and talking about what they're going through.
Or even imagining themselves on a beach.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen. The brownie points for you right there. Yeah. But the point you're making, it's hilarious, but it's also true. That would have cost her no money, no energy to play along and try something.
You never know. It could have worked. It might not have. And that's okay. You know?
So Janet says, Jason, I was not thinking you were talking about me, nor was I offended. I just wanted to explain the physical impact of depleted adrenal glands, etc. Yeah, thank you, Janet. I'm just always careful, you know, from a long time ago when I offended you and I didn't mean to. So maybe I'm a little overly sensitive, Janet, to you particularly, because I don't want to be in that place again. So I appreciate you explaining that. I definitely accept what you're saying.
I like the comment she added. Can you read that part too before we go to Stephanie's?
Question for Glenn, that one?
Oh, the some women love.
All right, let me go. Some women love the thrill of the bad boy, but when it comes to daily life, they will pay big time. A boom! A boom! Do you want to comment on that first, Jen?
Oh no.
We haven't forgotten about you, Stephanie.
Yeah. I don't think I was ever this person, but I've known people like this, and of course I think we all hear stories about this. But you're right, Janet. It's this bad boy thing that some people are attracted to. But when it comes to daily life, and I don't know if this is what you mean by this comment, but when it comes down to the daily life things of having a partner and someone to work with you, not against you, unfortunately, a lot of times the bad boys aren't that good of a partner when it comes to that.
Right.
They can create a thrill with the bad boy stuff, you know, titillating. But when it comes to the everyday, let's be adults and work together as a team. Pay
bills.
It's like bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So I have a quick story about that. So just as an example, so when I lived in Illinois back in the 90s, so this would have been 91, 92, somewhere in there. I lived in Champaign-Urbana, and right across the apartment complex that I was living in, and I was staying with my friend Rob and his wife Ginger and their 2-year-old at the time. And I used to walk across the street. Sometimes I'd drive, but a lot of times it was nice out. I'd just walk across the street to the video store and pick up a couple of videos and bring them back over to the apartment and all that. So there was a girl that worked there. I thought was super cute. And I went in there quite often. So I'd go rent a couple of videos. We'd watch them. Then I'd take them back and we'd rent some more. So I was there quite often. And I liked her. And I thought she was cute. And I wanted to ask her out. So, but I have always been a person that I can't tell if someone likes me or not. I've never been able to tell. So I take an inordinate amount of time before asking someone out. I have to make sure I have to have some kind of sign. And a lot of times the sign is, hey, I like you. Why don't you ask me out? I mean, that's what it takes sometimes. And that never happened. But yeah, no to self, right. So I just started to get to know her. Like while I was waiting in line, and I'd come up to the counter and I'd just start asking her questions. I was just trying to get to know her a little bit. So in the course of doing that, she told me that she had a boyfriend and that he was abusive and that she broke up with him and that she feels so much better being free of it, blah, blah, blah. So that was all I needed to know. Like I felt like she kind of flirty and stuff like that. I've been wrong about that before, but so I didn't do it that time. The next day I came in and I all geared up and I brought my video up. I don't think I need to rent anything at that. I just, it's an excuse to come talk to her, I think, at that point. So I bring it up, set it on the counter, and I say, I was wondering if you'd like to go out to dinner and a movie or something. And she was like, oh, well, thank you for asking. She's really nice about it. Thank you for asking. But I got back with my boyfriend.
Oh, Lordy.
So she had just told me a few days before how abusive this guy was and that she felt better in her life now that she was free of it. And then she went back with the same guy. Now, maybe she just didn't like me and were just saying that. That's possible. But I think that that it's true. And that's not the only time I've seen that. Someone go back to the abusive person. I mean, we know that happens.
Yeah. But we know the other way happens too. Our neighbor, for instance, the one who's had domestic issues and
yeah, well, she keeps going back to it though. That's another good example.
Allowing him to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, what's this person getting out of the situation?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was trying to get to earlier. I'm saying that there are people that seem to get something out of the misery. Because I'll tell you, the night that she came over and she didn't have her phone, he took her phone or locked her phone or her phone was gone or something. And she didn't have transportation. And so we offered her a ride to go pick up her kids. And the police had been called. And the police were there, and her mother wouldn't release her kids to her grandchildren.
Unless the cops showed up, which is really weird.
So the cops did show up, and she still wouldn't release them. And the cops said they can't make her release her children to her because it's family,
also weird, yeah.
Domestic, whatever. And so she had this horrible night. I can only imagine that it was a completely horrible night.
Yeah, both of our hearts were completely wrenched. Like, yeah, seeing her crying, and
she's like kneeling in the parking lot in front of the cop car with two cops standing there, just yelling at the top of her lungs. Like
she just wanted her kids.
One moment away from rending her clothes, like in the Bible. Like they're ripping their clothes. And then so we bring her back, and things seem fine for a while. And then I hear on the, he bangs on the door. He's like knocking on the door, and here he is back around again. And then the cops came. Didn't the cops talk to you, babe?
Yeah.
The cops came looking for him later. So this is not a good guy. And she keeps letting him back in, even after all the problems that she's been caused by him. All righty. Is that enough of that?
Yeah.
Jen says, yeah.
I want to get to Stephanie's question.
All right.
Glenn kind of
Read
answered it. Scrolling. Where'd it go?
It's
How
highlighted.
do you Okay, how do you get people to know that you are truly happy just being alone, or convincing someone that you actually are alone, that refuses to believe that you are alone and happy? I think Glenn kind of took my words, but I'll say it anyway because he kind of worded it differently. I would say I would love to see you at a point, Stephanie, where what other people think doesn't matter. Um, you know, for you to be able to hold on to your reality, that you know that you're happy being alone and that you don't need someone else to be happy. I think that is incredibly fantastic. I'm so happy for you and proud of you.
Yeah.
Um, I've been in this place before where it's kind of rattled me or frustrated me that other people didn't think it was real or they questioned it. It is very annoying, and I think there's even times where we're transitioning between like an unhealthy place into a healthier place when it comes to ourselves. And so there's this want to vacillate between the old stuff and the new, where you start questioning your reality because other people aren't seeing it. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
It's
Of course.
crickets. Anyway, so I completely understand why it's frustrating, but I would just ask why does it matter? If you're happy being alone and you know that you're in a new place and it's fresh and it's awesome and it's healthy, gosh, we're just applauding for you and patting you on the back. But I would love to see you get to a place where it doesn't matter what other people think. And I know it's tough because, like I said before, I've been there where you feel obligated almost to explain it in a different way or show them proof or, you know, all this other stuff. And then it kind of drags you away from the place that you're in, this healthy place where you're happy being alone, and knowing that you're getting stronger and healthier. So,
Yeah.
you want to say something about that, Mr. Jason?
Yeah, I don't want to dig too deep into this. I don't want to say anything that would cause Stephanie in trouble. But I think the reason she's asking this because she may be. I'm just guessing she may have someone that is not accepting her her saying, "I want to be alone. I'm happy being alone. This is what I need right now." Um,
Ah,
I would everything you said was right. I'm just
yeah.
adding to it. I'm saying maybe, and she can
Well,
answer that.
I'll read her next comment that she said.
Okay.
She said, "My ex cannot believe I am not in a relationship with someone because I am happy. But I am not in a relationship and I am happy. He even thinks I move my pictures around because of someone else." And I wanted to ask, is it the pictures around your house, Stephanie, that you're moving around and he thinks it's because of somebody else? Um, I think, and this is just a guess, but I have a feeling that your ex is used to you being in a different place than you're in now. And he's used to you trying to find happiness in external ways, like other men or people or friends or, things outside of yourself. And I think he's probably just in shock that you're in this different place and he's not used to it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not your job to convince him that you're happy being alone or that you're not in a relationship. Now, this may get a little stickier because I think you guys have kids together. So maybe he's just trying to kick up some drama or something, by accusing you of being in a relationship. But he is your ex, so what does it matter to him?
Yeah.
I don't know. That could be a little stickier, but girl, you're happy and you're getting healthy, and that's awesome. And some people, we've talked about this on the show too. Some people in our past, whether it's family, friends, exes, boyfriends, spouses, sometimes they get very uncomfortable when we're not staying in the role that they've cast us in. We're changing and we're growing, and it sometimes it shines a spotlight on their own stuff, and it makes them very uncomfortable because when we stay in the role, the unhealthy roles that we're in with them, when we've been involved with them or around them, it keeps the facade going. So when you start changing, it kind of shakes things up, and a lot of times people don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Question for Glenn from Janet. No fair, just answering in the chat. You have to answer on here. Janet asked questions for Glenn. If you knew you were going to pass soon, what would you make sure your children and grandchildren knew?
That's a good one.
Glenn.
As I think I said in the chat, nothing that I haven't done and said already. There's nothing more to say. Because I'm very conscious of the fact that I mightn't be here in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'd hate to think there were things unsaid and undone. So
And that's
my
awesome.
philosophy.
I think we could all aspire to do that, Glenn. Being so direct that the things on our hearts and minds we share right away, and so there's no regret.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing worse than the guilt that people carry sometimes. I should have done this. I should have said that. I should have got closer. I should have, that incessant questioning that can take you down through that. So leave no stone unturned and just put it out there and be content.
Yeah. Jen and I say probably if someone heard how we speak to each other and how often we say I love you and laugh at each other and smile and all the stuff, I'm sure it would make them sick to their stomach. I guess we're that couple Glenn was talking about, sitting across from each other and holding hands and cuddling and smiling and stuff like that. And I love it. And I'm not here to make anyone else uncomfortable, but I'm also not trying to, let's not show our affection toward one another because someone else might be jealous because their relationship is not as good. I mean, I don't even think like that. Why did I bring that up?
I don't know. I was wondering that.
Yeah.
Well, Cripps, nobody truly is in a position to judge the relationship between any other two people. That's unique. It's between them, and whatever works for them works for them. I know a lot of people would hear what's under how we have a relationship and say this is disgusting or horrible. Treat each other like that, but it's not. But it works. And if you find a magic formula, why you want to give it up? Just because someone else mightn't like it. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, I'm just saying. It's your decision. People don't like it. Well, tough.
Yeah. Oh, I remember why. Thank you, Glenn. I remember why I brought it up. In the idea of saying to Jen all the time, making sure that she knows how I do feel and that I'm delighted by her and she's important to me. Because I don't know how long. I mean, God willing, I'll live to be as old as my grandfather was, 94 years old, and hopefully in fairly good health. But I don't know. Nothing is guaranteed. So as long as I go into the next world knowing that I have, not just to Jen, but to everyone, told them how I feel, they're not left guessing. Then I know Glenn said on one broadcast, and maybe it doesn't relate, but he was like, well, I don't feel like you should have to tell someone all the time that you love them. And I disagree with that.
What I said was you shouldn't have to tell someone all the time you love them because they have an expectation that you tell them. That's way different from what you just said.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that. I don't want to
I believe it's that the spontaneity of it is what really gives it the credence. That's what I'm saying. Whether you do it once or 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't say it to Jen because I feel like I have to. I feel like she knows it. I'm just so
you
delighted.
Want to.
Yeah, I want to. I do want to. There you go. Okay, more questions, guys. More questions. Open topic, open discussion. It's all about you. I'm sure somebody has more questions. Where did Torben go? He asked a couple good questions, and then
He might have gone to watch the Olympics or something.
Surely Celine has a question. Celine's in here. Hello,
Yeah,
Celine.
she did ask some questions. She was talking about. I'd like to know what is the modern woman? Does anyone know what that?
Yeah, I saw her comment. So she mentioned about the 50s and stuff like that. So in the 50s, women were very subjugated, in a lot of people's opinion, to making dinner, having dinner on the table when the man gets home from work and cleaning the house and having babies. Barefoot and pregnant was the phrase.
That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you want that. I think Celine was making the point that because of feminism, they wanted to break free of that, and rightly so. They wanted to have the same pay when women went in the workplace. They should be paid the same as men, especially when they get to the point where they're as well trained as men. If they can do the same job, sometimes it's not about what sex you are. It's about some people have been working at a job for a while and they're trained and they know what they're doing. And you come in off the street and you think you're going to make the same amount of money as someone that's been there for 20 years. That's ridiculous. So, I mean, some of it should have to do with experience. But the other thing is, it should be fair just based on, well, he's making more money just because he's a man. That's ridiculous. So that should be right. But I think Celine's saying because of feminism, women are all uppity and, they're working more, which I don't see any problem with. If a woman wants to work, she should be able to work. But she was making the point that men get a bad deal in the courts, and that was pretty astute. I have talked to more than one person, and that's true. And even at one of the situations I'm aware of, the woman was abusive to the children, and she was still given sole custody.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, she's the woman because of the way that a woman is treated, it's my body, my choice, all that stuff. Then more leeway from the courts, even from a man, more leeway toward a woman than to the man. Here's the thing that confused me. So if a woman and a man get together and have a baby, the man has no right to say or tell her what she should or should not do with the child.
Yeah, when it's partly his.
Right. But if she has the child and he doesn't want anything to do with it, then they force him to pay child support. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying you can't have it both ways. He has no say in whether she has the child, but when she has it, then, now he's on the hook, whether he wants to be or not. And, they garnish wages and they do all this stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you're going to be consistent down the line, then be consistent down the line.
Yeah.
It takes two people to have a child. I mean, I know men can't bear children, but a woman can't just spontaneously conceive. I mean, it takes two to tango, so to speak. It seems like to me it should be a dual decision. It's just my opinion.
And one of the other things she said, there's exceptions, but a lot of women have become very evil and horrible towards men. And she was saying that she can understand why a lot of them are going their own way and just giving up on being with women and marriage and relationships and stuff.
Yeah, I get it too. Why would you want the frustration?
Yeah. It's interesting how society, this traditional picture of a woman, a mother, just being so kind and warm-hearted and never doing anything wrong against her kids. It's kind of been upheld in society, almost like the courts can't look at the proof that there are, women out there that are moms that are evil, and that it does happen, and that, it stinks. It sucks.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they have this picture in their head of, they're a mother. They can't ever do anything, awful against their children. It's always the man, like these roles they've been cast in, and they can't see that sometimes those roles are reversed.
Yeah.
They just refuse to look at it.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It is sad. So Janet has a question for us, Jen. Do you want to read it or shall I?
You go ahead.
Question for Jason and Jen. Do you think a narcissist can also be a true follower of Christ? Can they completely change or always fight narc thoughts and behavior? That is so great.
And Jason and I differ on this opinion.
Yeah, so you go first and then I'll give my opinion.
Okay. I don't think they can. And I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I don't think they can. And as I'm saying it, I'm questioning myself.
It's okay.
That happens
It
sometimes.
happens. Yeah.
So okay, this is where my train of thought went while I was talking. So if we as believers believe that you only have to believe in God and believe on his son Jesus Christ, that he was born of a virgin, that he lived, that he died for our sins on the cross, was resurrected in 3 days, and came back from the dead. Um, does a person need to have empathy to believe that?
Hmm.
Does a person it's like, so when you think of a narcissist, you think of someone that lacks empathy, that they think only of themselves, that they
Mhm.
see other people as transactional or vehicles to get themselves from A to B, whatever
Great,
that thing
great
is.
phrasing. Great phrasing.
Now, they could look at God that way, this transactional thing. They still could believe in it, in God and in Jesus and what God and Jesus did for us. Now, in a sense, you could say that they're saved, but the relationship that God wants with them would probably not exist or very little
Mhm.
or be one-sided, where the narcissist is talking to God, but they're not really listening because they're not very good listeners.
Right.
um, so I don't like, there's a big part of me that doesn't believe narcissists can change just because they, in my opinion, they don't see that they're the issue. They think it's everyone else. So if you think that everyone else is the issue and it's not you, why would you have any reason to work on yourself or change? I could be wrong. And in the sense I think about God and how big God is and how powerful he is, he can change anybody.
Yeah.
So I have some differing opinions in my own mind about that stuff, but you go ahead, Abe.
Yeah. No, that was great. That you gave me a lot to work with there. Thank you.
Cool.
Um, so Janet, I've thought about this a lot because my father is a narcissist, in my opinion, and he would be kind of in the middle between covert and overt in my from my perception, mostly covert. But he doesn't he's not this person that everyone goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he's so nice and friendly and all that. But he's also not openly, generally not openly narcissistic, where someone like on the outside, a lot of people that don't know him really well really like him, and he has likable qualities, don't get me wrong, but he claims to be a believer. In fact, when I was 5 years old, he pulled over by the side of the road, and that's the first time that I quote unquote accepted Jesus into my heart. I realized I was a child, and there are people that think you can't be saved as a child and all that, but I believe that regardless of when I really fully believed everything or not, I believed what Jesus was and what he did for me at that age. And it was my dad that helped me get there, that actually said the words and prayed with me. So it's not that I don't believe it's not that I think he's not a Christian. What I think is, just like the Bible states that believers have a choice to walk in the spirit or walk in the flesh, I think it's difficult for a narcissist to continually walk in the spirit. And therefore, if they're in their flesh all the time, then they're going to lean toward the narcissistic characteristics and traits, and they can take over. I do believe what Jen said, that God can change anyone's heart. But here's the problem: God will not override someone's free will. The person has to want to change, has to
Yeah.
give those things to God and say, I can't do this on my own. I need you to help me. They have to be in that place. And because they're so self-absorbed and they do care about themselves more than anybody else, how do they ever get to that point of vulnerability? I think it's very rare. I know there are a lot of pastors that are narcissists, and you would think a pastor believes fully in God, but to a narc, they're the best person in their life. And I liked what Glenn said. Glenn asked a couple questions.
Yeah.
Can a narcissist love anyone but themselves? If not, how can they connect with God on this basis? God is love. Great question. God is love. And if a person loves themselves, how can they love God? If they're putting themselves before God, I think it's not possible. So I'm not going to go so far as to say that a narcissist can't believe in God. I'm not in a place of judgment on that, but I don't see how it can work.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can see is what I mentioned, is that if they believe, if they truly believe, and their spirit is saved, they walk more, that it's a constant struggle of walking in their flesh rather than their spirit. And that's the damaging part. So I don't think there'd be much reward for them in this life, because their relationships are so taxed by them walking in their flesh all the time and catering to their narcissistic self-absorption.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered the question.
I think you did.
Okay.
She had another follow-up one. Is there anything one can do to help the flying monkey see a person is a narc? One suggestion I would make, Janet, is don't bother. I've watched a lot of, not saying this makes me an expert because it doesn't by any means.
You are an
but
expert.
I've watched a lot of videos where they say, do not try to point out to other people that somebody is a narcissist. Just don't do it. I think the reason why is because it kind of casts shade on yourself by trying to cast shade on someone else. And a lot of times it's hopeless. And a better thing to do in that scenario is to work on you and just remain in a solid place yourself, a loving, forgiving, gracious, graceful place, because that's going to speak volumes. It's not, we shouldn't be putting our energy toward trying to change other people's minds or trying to get them to see things. A lot of times it makes us look bad, and they're going to have to go through their own pain or situation with that toxic person in order to really learn the lesson. Like, how many times have we heard stories about, like, say, a mother seeing a daughter getting into a bad situation, or she's not too sure about the guy that she's with or dating or engaged, and she tries to warn the daughter, and it ends up ripping the relationship apart, or the daughter doesn't listen, and all these different things kind of domino. A lot of times the people that are in this situation have to just learn it for themselves in order to get it. If
Yeah.
you try to explain it to them from an outside perspective, it's hard because it seems like the right thing to do, and you want to save people from the heartache or the hurt,
Sure.
or from even getting involved with somebody that's that toxic. It's hard to keep your mouth, closed and not say anything. It's almost like watching a train wreck, so you're like, it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But more times than not, the person's just going to have to go through it and see it for themselves. Do you have anything to add, guys?
I do. I was going to give her the absolute opposite advice.
Okay. Well, you could do that.
You've made it. Well, I know
your
I
own
can.
person.
Yeah, I'd be my own person. I love it. What Jen said is right. Okay, so let me start by saying that I would tend to rely on her comments more than I would what I'm about to say. All I was going to say was, Janet, if you wanted to take a flying monkey and help bring them to the realization that these people are bullies, I think there is a way to do it, but not just like Jen said. It's not, the way to do it isn't just pointing out, hey, these people are narcs and they're bullies. I mean, I don't think you can be that direct. If you get a flying monkey on the radar of the narc so that they can find out for themselves if the ire directed towards you is somehow directed toward that person, then maybe they would realize who they are. And I'm not sure I know how to do that. Like, if I were in that situation, I'm sure I could come up with a way. I mean, it'd be situational because each narc is different. They have different techniques and ploys and things like that. But I think avoidance, complete avoidance of the flying monkeys. If you realize someone's a flying monkey, if they can be avoided, just avoid them. I think Jen's advice is way better than mine. I just wish that there were a way, Janet,
I do too.
to do that,
And
because
this is something I see all the time on these support pages from narcissistic abuse syndrome and such, where even people will see their exes roping a new supply in, this new person, this person that probably is just as naive as they were at one point, if not more, and who that these people even exist, these evil people that suck people dry like they're batteries or something. And there's everything in you as a person that has empathy and cares about people, because that's what attracts narcissists the most, is people with empathy. Everything in you wants to just scream out to that person to warn them. um, Out of all the stories I've heard and read, there's been a larger percentage of people that it's blown up in their face when they've tried to warn the new supply, whether it's a
yeah,
friend or a romantic partner.
yeah,
There's been a very few, there has been some, but there's just been a very few people that I've read or heard about that they've had success where they've tried to warn someone and that person's actually believed them. Because a lot of times the flying monkeys are hearing from the narcissist, oh, that person's crazy, they're insane, they're a narcissist, all this crazy stuff. So you're already being painted in a bad light sometimes, not all the time,
right.
but they're just being brainwashed, by all these fabricated lies that the narcissist is spouting.
Well, let me give you a scenario, Jen.
Yeah.
So let's say your ex, you heard that he was dating someone that is a friend of yours, someone that you really care about. So well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you saying, I'll ask it in the form of a question, are you saying that you would not at all try to warn them? I know you can't make someone stay away from someone, but you've said in the past, like that you would feel like warning them, letting them know,
If
hey,
someone was dating my ex, is that what you're saying?
yes, that is what I'm saying.
Um, if it was someone that I knew really well, maybe. But if
Okay.
it's a stranger that doesn't know me,
Right.
I probably wouldn't. I would just pray for them.
Yeah.
Because,
No,
yeah.
I
Go
mean
ahead.
very specifically someone that you know, someone that you
Okay.
care about.
Gosh. I don't know if I would, and this is the reason why, because when I left that toxic situation, I disappeared out of my hometown after a year. And even when I was still in the hometown and he was still local, I was not vocal about what had gone on in my marriage. And part of the reason is because the majority of the abuse happened behind closed doors where there was nobody that witnessed it, which is really in a way unfortunate because I didn't feel like I could say anything because unfortunately I played the game while I was in it.
Yeah.
I played into his narrative that he wanted to paint this idea that we had the perfect marriage and the perfect business and blah blah blah. And so I went along with the narrative. So how weird would it look for all of a sudden me to turn around and cry abuse? I just thought, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm crazy. So for me, I decided to just disappear and know that like my sanity and not going through this whole turmoil of having to explain to so many people, like customers and friends and people that lived in the town, to try to get ahead of any kind of rumors or lies he might say about me.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to play that game of tug of war of like trying to defend myself and share my truth and try to convince people. I was in such a fragile state and I was so beat up and raw. I was like, I just can't even do it. And it was at the point where I was like, I don't care what people say about me. I'm just gonna, it doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
know what I went through. That's all that matters. God knows what I went through. That's all that matters. I'm just getting the crap out of here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to circle back to your question.
That's
Um,
okay.
So in pertaining to me warning somebody, again, there's just very few people that know exactly what was going on. And I think I would come across as crazy. So I probably would say no, I wouldn't say anything. I would just really get on my face and pray for them.
Yeah.
For just them to see the red flags because they were there for me and I ignored them. But for them to see the red flags and to really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Yeah, good answer. I think it's a difficult scenario either way, and I appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah.
answer it. I think that's a good answer. I mean, it's not an easy thing.
No, it's really not.
It's not. So, well, let's hear from Glenn. Glenn wants to give his opinion on any of this stuff that we're talking about because he's been fairly quiet. So,
Would you put? I've just been in the chat. Would you mind just ask the question again, please, just to make sure I get it straight?
yeah. So if you were in a relationship with a narcissist, and I know that you're not, but just put yourself in that place. I know you can do that. So let's say that you had been married to a narcissist and you get divorced, and then someone that you know, someone that you're close to, starts dating your ex. In this idea of, would you contact them and try to dissuade them from getting in a relationship with someone that you know is going to be toxic and eventually hurt them, or do you leave it alone?
I certainly wouldn't contact them.
Right.
Okay, I certainly would not, because I think when people are beginning new relationships, they need to find their own way, because there's nothing worse than someone telling them something and then that just, to my mind, sets them up to be reactive. I think they've got to find their own way first, and then if they approach, I think the key is that if they approach you and ask you to share your experiences because they're having some doubts or they're having some reservations, I think by all means at that point. But I think they need, I think that, as I said, the key is that you don't make the approach, they do.
I like that.
I like that too. Yeah, because if somebody came to me specifically and said, "Hey, I know that you're married to this guy and you got divorced. Is there anything you want to share with me? Because I'm seeing some red flags, or I'm not sure if I'm making crap up or if he's a good guy." And I'd still be very careful about what I shared, but um,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, that kind of
great
clears
answer,
it up.
Glenn.
I like that. Okay, now I saw a question from Torben. I said, "Where's Torben?" And then he popped in and we were talking about other stuff. So, Torben, I'm looking for your question, brother. Let me,
Oh, he was talking about MGTOW getting big. Do you know what MGTOW is?
no idea.
So it's
No.
MGTOW. It's short for men going their own way. He
Oh,
said, I Denmark men and women that getting married, half of them are divorced after 3.5 years.
yeah.
Gosh.
So Torben's question that I see is are we living in the last days? Are we living in the last days? What do you think, Jen? Are we living in the last days?
I think in a sense, yes. I think it's, I hear a lot of people say, I guess they're under the impression, or they think that Jesus is coming back like soon. Um, in my mind, I feel like things are going to have to get a lot worse for that to
Yeah.
happen. I know it's bad.
Yeah.
I know things are bad in the world right now, but I have a really overly active imagination, and in things I've read in the Bible, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I think it's going to get a lot worse for that to happen. I don't want to see that. I would love for
Yeah.
Jesus to come back today.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
I just think it's drawing out slower.
yeah, I would agree. Biblically speaking, it is going to get a lot worse.
Yeah.
It says that it'll be like in the days of Noah, and what we know about the days of Noah is that people were violent and they loved themselves more than anything else, and it was the whole lot of them. I mean, it's pretty sad when there's only 8 people that were followers or loved God and obeyed him. I don't know how many people there were at the time, but I would imagine it was a lot. So to only have 8 people that were obedient and lived throughout the flood, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So if it's like that, which is what the Bible says it will be, you're absolutely right, Jen. It'll take some. It needs to get a lot worse. And if there's no stops, I see that it will. Yeah, I mean, it will continue to get worse. So yes, I do believe it's the last times, but people have believed that. I mean, every 100 years they think, well, with every world war, the people that were living at the time, the believers, thought it was the last days because there was war. You know, the Revelation says wars and rumors of wars and pestilence and all that. And we have that all the time, and we have earthquakes and, you know, all that. So it's hard to tell. I don't think anybody, I mean, the Bible says nobody knows the exact day or hour. I believe that there are enough signs in Scripture to point the way. But as Jen said, a lot more things need to happen. So I don't think we're in the last days, like, you know, it could happen anytime. I know people believe that. They believe in the imminent return of Christ. But biblically speaking, I'm not going to go into a big, long thing, but I'll just say that the Bible's pretty clear. The Antichrist has to come on the scene first. There's things that have to happen before his return. And if I were to see those things, then yeah, I would definitely move into the category of saying, okay, yeah, now it can happen anytime. And I'll just say one more thing. The point is, my point, and I've said this to Jen, and she agrees. If we're keeping our eyes on Christ, it doesn't matter when he's coming, we're going to be ready. We're not going to get caught unaware. The people that will be surprised will be the people that don't believe, because they're not paying any attention. They don't even believe he's coming back. So of course it would be a surprise if you don't even believe that God exists or Christ exists or anything like that, and he comes back. Yeah, can you imagine the surprise a person would have? So there's no expectation on their part that he's going to return. Yeah, last days. I do think that we're headed in that direction, but as far as it happening right now, no.
Yeah.
So hello to Loving Kindness. Welcome.
Love that name.
Yeah. Thy loving kindness is better than, what is that song? It's thy loving kindness is better than, is it life? Better than life? I don't know.
I think maybe.
And believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. Welcome. We're glad that you're here. Good to see you. I didn't say hello to Nick. Nick's been in here for a little bit, so hello to Nick. Okay, I didn't see any other questions. Does anyone else have any questions?
Mm-hmm.
Looking. Scrolling.
Yeah. You stole it. Keep that screen a scrolling. TSL.
Yeah, right. There you go. Okay, guys, we need more questions. I don't see any other new ones. So we have about 40 minutes if we want to go the whole time.
Hey, is Kay Stover in the chat?
Is that loving kindness?
I guess so.
Oh.
Nick said Mark, and then he said Kay Stover.
Oh, loving kindness. Hello, old friend.
Old friend.
Good to see you, man. Welcome.
I guess let's make sure we're correct.
Yeah. Well, either way, welcome, even if it's not.
Oh,
Mark.
that's true. Yes.
But I would just be delighted if it was.
So I wanted to ask you about, so Janet said having no empathy to me is evil. And then Glenn said I'm having trouble with you relating no empathy to evil. What are your thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, if a person refuses to be empathetic or is unable to be empathetic, I think that is evil. I mean, how can you be kind and loving and gentle and have positive qualities and attributes if you're not empathetic. I don't know how that's possible.
Well, I'll put it this way. So, children that have autism or some children that have Asperger's lack empathy, would you then claim that they're evil?
No, that's something they have no. I'm assuming we're talking about people that have a choice.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, that's a good point, Jen. I mean, that's a good
But
point.
do narcissists have a choice?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, they have a choice. Just because it's harder for them to be empathetic. Oh, okay, a sociopath that grows up with no empathy,
Yeah.
they still have a choice. There's got to be, at least if the law and societal standards are in place, a psychopath or a sociopath knows that it's wrong to murder. I mean, there are some things that are just built in. They have to know it's wrong. People have, so that's like saying, oh, well, he wants to kill people and he can't help himself, so we just need to let him do what he wants to do. It's ridiculous.
Well, I didn't mean that, but
No, I'm not saying you meant that. I'm just,
Glenn doesn't agree. I'd like Glenn to speak up.
Well, yeah, we're not in chat, Glenn. We're on a live broadcast.
Have some empathy.
Yeah.
You.
I'm happy to talk.
Me? You talking to me, Jen?
Yeah.
I'm just giving Glenn the business because
I know.
all three of us are on the show. It's open topic, open discussion, and it's you and I talking and answering questions, and then, we would like to hear more from Glenn. That's all.
Oh, okay. There you go. I don't agree with you.
Okay, explain yourself.
Well, I don't know a lot about narcissism, but I'm suggesting, as I put in chat, how do you know that a narcissist in their own way is not empathic or empathetic, as you call it? Only it's not within your or my frame of reference. That's not the way that we show empathy. I could use your dad as an example. Is he empathetic? Has he got the capacity to be empathetic?
I think, well, like I said, unless you have some kind of...
Okay. You keep talking, I'll answer the phone.
I need to have empathy. Okay, yeah.
Well, while he's gone, I was actually going to mention that I've heard that, I think this is the right term, that narcissists can be emotionally empathetic. Now, it doesn't mean that they show empathy to others unless they're mirroring or projecting, more mirroring than projecting. But I've heard it's because they can, and maybe this points to the fact of them having a choice, but they can actually read emotions, and it's how they manipulate people. So they can have empathy in the sense of seeing. It's not so much feeling, but it's seeing that somebody else, something upsets them, something makes them angry, something moves them emotionally, and then they're able, then it's what makes them great salesmen. They can then manipulate that, twist it to their own benefit.
Sure.
So I think in that sense, it would point more toward them having a choice. And I was thinking about my ex. He chose to be kind to everybody else except me. And he chose to scream at me in the back room. And then 5 seconds later, when he unlocked the front door to open our business, be this charming, kind guy.
Right.
So someone that switched like that.
Yeah.
So specifically, when it came to me and everybody else, that shows a choice. So
yeah, you're making my point for me. So your ex had a choice. He clearly had a choice. He didn't have autism. He didn't have some kind of mental handicap that prevented him from feeling empathy, but he chose not to. So he doesn't get off the hook, in my opinion. Just saying that someone is a narcissist does not, in my mind, preclude them from working on it and having empathy. It just doesn't. Before Glenn got a call,
I'm here.
he was asking me about my dad. Here's the thing about my dad. My dad does show acts of kindness in the area that he's comfortable doing it in. For instance, he's good with mechanical stuff and wood and things like that. So if my sister's van breaks down and it's something that he can fix, he'll get underneath there and spend hours trying to work on it, if replacing parts and stuff like that. And he's done that for me too in the past. It's not like he doesn't do anything to show kindness or empathy. But here's my challenge. My challenge is, if you're going to show empathy, you show it in a way that the person receiving it can actually feel it. And that takes someone that actually considers other people's feelings and takes the time and work in the areas that they're challenged in. I'm not saying it's easy for everyone to show love in the same way. But my mom needed her husband to pay attention to her and be there physically and emotionally. And he had plenty of opportunity to do that, but he chose not to. He would do things for her, like, build something and give it to her as a gift. And I'm sure in his mind, he was saying, this is me showing I love you. And she would say, I don't need a gift. I need you to listen to me. I need you to hold me when I cry. So he wasn't fulfilling the needs. He was trying to do something in a way to show love on his part, but it didn't keep them together. It didn't make my mom stay because he was good at building her things. I've told the story before. When she was leaving, he too late tried to do all the stuff. I got her tickets to plays and dinner and flowers and all that, and it wasn't what she wanted. So just because a narcissist is capable of thinking of something to do, same thing as your ex, when you caught him doing something wrong and you had lost your engagement ring and he went out and bought you a new engagement ring. So that's something that on the surface looks like, oh, he thought of me, but it's actually just a way to get himself out of hot water. It's choosing to do something that they think is going to work, and that's all it is. It's not really thinking about what the person would really.
Yes, it's a great example. And that was pornography, by the way. You could have said that.
I could have, yeah.
Yeah, just free reign.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying again, and unless there's something medical that prevents a person from being able to think and being able to react like others.
Yeah.
They don't just automatically, in my mind, they don't get off the hook just because it's harder for them than for other people. I mean, when people molest children, they say, oh, they can't be rehabilitated. I mean, that's the idea that, oh, they just have no choice. And I don't agree with that. We all have the ability of making a choice.
Yeah.
We can choose to not hurt other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Yep. There you go. All right.
So I wanted to say hello to Cellar Door 33.
Hello.
They said they didn't think they'd been here before. Hello. Hello to you.
Welcome. Glad you're here.
Did we said hello to Nick, right?
We did. I
think you did. Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Believe on Lord Jesus says, I'm beginning to believe that narcs are conscious to what they're doing, but they somehow are able to put their empathy in a crevice in their mind to get what they want. Yeah. Isn't that what you were saying earlier, Jen?
Yeah. I've never thought of it this way, where if they actually have the ability to have empathy, but they tuck it somewhere deep, like it's just buried. Because I guess that's a way to look at it. Another way is to look at it like they don't have it at all.
Right.
But I wonder if it being tucked somewhere within them is the reason that they're able to pull it out when they're trying to manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
Or if it is true empathy, or if it's just a shadow of empathy or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
or if it's just them mirroring other people. They don't know what empathy is, and they just see other people do it, so that they're trying to emulate, to act as if they have it, which I think a lot of them do in the beginning. It's how they love bomb. I think they watch other people and they emulate other people to try to be normal and try
Sure.
to attract people. So I don't know, that's a good perspective. I don't know if it's true, but it's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree that. I mean, I'm sure they're not all the same. I mean, I'm paint them all with the same brush, but as you were saying about your ex, if he was able to treat other people with kindness, he could have done that for you. It was a choice not to.
Yeah. Because he did. He did sometimes. And he did sometimes with me as well, which made it even more confusing to go from being what looked to be seemingly kind. Uh, Mostly his kindness was sometimes when he would celebrate my birthday, because there was lots of birthdays that he didn't celebrate and didn't get me anything. But like I remember a couple Christmases, he really went out of his way to just be really thoughtful with Christmas gifts, and it's kind of shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But in the dance that we were in, it was sort of a way to I think he wanted something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a way to catch me off guard, to knock me off the scent of the abusive cycle that was going on.
Right.
It's a part of the abuse cycle.
Right.
But man, I couldn't tell you how many times I kept thinking, and there was a few times I even said to him, why is it that you treat everyone else, you treat our own customers better than you treat me?
Yeah.
Why is it that you save the best of yourself for everybody else except for me?
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't understand. And unfortunately, and I don't think my mom meant to cause damage with this comment, but she at one point said maybe the reason he gets so angry and rages out around you or at you is because he feels the safest with you.
Yeah.
Which really screwed up my mind, because there was a few points in time where I thought, where it was almost like I tried to twist it to where it was this pride thing. Like, oh, he's abusing me. That's because he feels safe. Like, it's not
Oh,
abuse. It's
great.
just him feeling safe. And, like, what the hell?
That clears it up.
It's just like, oh my gosh.
That clears it
So
up.
I had to realize that that's not really what was going on. It wasn't just because I get it. I get in healthy relationships that, like when I'm around Jason, I feel safe to throw the F bomb out if our stupid PlayStation controller is not working, and it annoys the crap out of me when technology doesn't do what I say.
Yeah.
Doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Right.
That's being safe, but me yelling at him and cussing him out if the controller's not working and throwing crap at him or near him, like, that's not okay. That's
Right.
not a badge of honor to wear. Oh, she feels safe with me.
Yeah.
Like,
That's right.
she could abuse me. Nope.
That's good. I like that. Yep.
Yeah.
No excuse. Hello, Annette.
Hey, Annette.
Annette, we're asking questions.
Hello.
Tobin's got a question.
Okay.
What is happiness and what makes you fulfilled and happy?
Great. Why don't you start with that one, Glenn? What's it to you?
Oh, yeah. Well, my mum nailed this one. Happiness is wanting what you have. Yeah. On the money.
I love that.
It's so straightforward.
Oh my gosh.
So many
I have to write
people
this down.
seek happiness when it's actually right in front of them, only they don't see it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mum. Thinking of you.
What do you think of that, Jen? You seem to be pretty excited about it. So
Yes. It just blew my mind. Holy crap. It is. It totally is. I completely agree with you, Glenn. You know what? I haven't been on Instagram in a while. And for a while now, I've been wondering, why is it when I open up Instagram and start scrolling, I get this like sick feeling in my stomach. And I realized that it's because I start comparing myself with other people. Like, I sell vintage clothes on eBay just a little bit, and there's people out there that have these huge businesses that crank out all kinds of vintage gowns and, just to a T, just beautiful, start comparing myself to other people. And it's just with anything, other pictures of family and vacations and houses and blah. Ugh. I just want to barf. I think that is the epitome of the opposite of that, of happiness, is when you're looking at other people's lives, especially when it comes to the lives that people feel comfortable portraying. It's not necessarily the truth.
Mm.
Not always the truth, but yeah, being in a place where I love my husband and I love my job and I'm incredibly happy with our home and the fact that we have a roof over our heads and food in our fridge and clothes on our back and breath in our lungs. And
Yeah.
really and truly, there's just this beautiful, simplistic happiness that you can have. And I think one of the reasons a lot of people are depressed and unhappy is because our world has turned into this like mega social media page where you're just seeing what supposedly everybody else has, and it's hard not to compare yourself. And it kind of creates in you this envy, this covetousness, this thinking that everyone else has better than you,
Yeah.
instead of you focusing on what you have and being happy with it. So
Well, I can't argue with that. That's good
I
stuff.
love it. It blew my mind. Love it.
Yeah, good stuff. I think there's a huge difference between having joy and being happy.
Mm.
I don't know if pursuing happiness is necessarily a good thing. So I like what Glenn said. So I'm going to pretend that he never said it though, and go at it from a different direction. So you hear in the world, oh yeah, well I'm just not happy anymore. Like someone in a relationship says, yeah, I'm just not happy. To me, that's a personal issue. I don't think anyone else can make you happy. It's a personal choice, I believe. And the Bible doesn't ever address being happy. It does address being joy. It says we have the joy of Christ. It's something that a believer can have, and it's from a relationship with him. And it's like what Jen said, she's happy to have a roof over her head. She's taking stock in the things that we do have. She's not living a life waiting for something outside, some external thing to make her happy. Would other things, like if we weren't struggling as much financially, would that make us happy? Not in and of itself, no, but it would certainly, it just would be less stressful. But I'm very grateful when we pray our nightly prayers and we talk about those very things that Jen mentioned, roof over our head and clothes on our back and food in the fridge. Those are what the Bible promises. The Bible doesn't even promise shelter. It really doesn't. It promises that we'll have clothes and we'll have something to drink and we'll have something to eat. And it says, don't worry about those things, that those things will be provided. Well, then it's easy to say, well, why are there starving people? I can't answer that. I mean, as far as children of God, it says that he'll provide those needs. And I know that there are some people that are homeless and it's their choice to be so. I mean, there are people that drop out of society and they don't want to fit into the mold society sets for them, take a shower, have a job, pay bills and stuff like that. And they have every right to choose that if they want to. I'm not saying everybody that's homeless chooses that. I just know that some people do choose it. I think I've shared that a friend of our family, they have a homeless ministry and they have a magazine that they have homeless people try to sell, and they write articles about their own experience. And I've heard more than one say that they just got to a place where they're just tired of the rat race. And I get it, working a job and relationships and they just were tired of it and they dropped out. That was a choice. Then there are other people, no fault of their own, get into such a bad situation. But when it comes to being happy, I've met people that have nothing that seem to be happier than people that are rich and seems like they have everything. So why is that? How can someone that doesn't have material riches and they don't have all this stuff, how can they be happy? And then someone that has everything isn't. I think it's a matter of perspective. So those are my thoughts on it.
I like those thoughts.
Well, thank you. More money just gives you more options, Glenn says. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ says, is feminism a demonic collective thought, evil hidden behind good intentions?
I think a large part, yes. But I think there are some people that are behind feminism when it comes to like what Jason was mentioning earlier, like equal pay. And, yes, there are women in our world that would like to be a part of the workforce, not to be a man or to show men up, but just because that's what they desire and it's their passion.
Yeah.
Or their talent, and they don't want to be pigeonholed as someone that they don't want to be, which could be a mom that's barefoot and pregnant at home taking care of a house. I think there are ones that are under that umbrella, but I do think there's a larger portion that's behind quote unquote feminism, with the whole parades wearing vagina hats and going topless. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I'm just like, this is so weird.
Yeah, it is. It is weird. Yeah, I think the whole feminism thing is extremely damaging. I really do. I'm not saying that women shouldn't have equal pay, just as Jen said. I think it should be equal across the board. Two people, man and a woman, they both have the same experience, both same amount of training. The man shouldn't get more money just because he's a male. It's ridiculous.
Well, unless he's better at the job.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm saying two people with the same level of experience.
Yeah.
They both know how to do the job in the same way. They shouldn't be given different pay because one's a man and one's a woman. That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Feminism is damaging. Why do we have to draw lines between male and female in that way? I just think loving each other and being kind to each other, men and women, towards one another, takes care of a lot of issues. It shouldn't be an attitude of women, be put in this place, because men have subjugated them for a long time. They have, and that should end. But it's demanding rights, right upon right upon right. And when does it end? What's the end game? I don't know. I'm not saying I have the answer to it. I don't know. But there was a joke. This guy went into a bank and he opened the door for a woman. She said, "Hey, don't open the door for me just because I'm a woman." He says, "I'm not. I'm opening the door for you because I'm a man." The moral of that is that he's being a gentleman, regardless of whether he didn't do it just because she was a woman. He did it because
Okay, got it.
That's the way he grew up. You be polite, and I open the door for men and women. It's not
Same here.
Sexist thing. It's just being a kind person, being thoughtful.
Clint said because he has manners.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's it.
Believe had a cool question.
All right, ask it.
Is luciferianism a physiological bloodline of people, or is it a spiritual seed of collective thought by choice? I said, good question. And I said, maybe both. It's a very interesting topic. Thoughts?
Yeah. if you're talking about bloodlines and blood seed and all that stuff, I don't put a whole lot of credence into that personally. Doesn't mean that I'm right. But there's even people that go so far as to say that if you have a certain bloodline, you can't be saved. And I don't believe that at all. I do believe it's more, physiological. To me, it's just simply what a person believes. If you believe and you worship Lucifer, then you're a Luciferian. If you believe and worship God and believe in Christ, then you're a Christian.
Yeah.
It's choosing to worship someone else other than Christ. That's what makes you a Luciferian.
I do think there are bloodlines that are part of the elite running this whole show. But that's probably a different question.
No, I mean, go ahead and make the point. So there are families that are in the
That
same
are,
bloodline that they happen to be Luciferians because that's what they grew up in, for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. I just don't think it makes someone incapable of being saved, incapable of, even if they're bloodline, even if they grew up as a elite in an elite family, that it means they can't break out of it
Yeah.
and believe something different.
It's a lot harder or dangerous even.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely dangerous. No doubt about it.
Just to follow up on what we were just chatting about, I
Sure.
believe he said, I asked because I saw this documentary by Gina Davis called This Changes Everything on Netflix and thought some of it was interesting, but same old feminism marketing. Um, and then I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but I wanted to read Nick's comment.
I haven't seen it, but if John
Jim-
suggests it, then I will. No, the Netflix thing. I
Yeah,
haven't
we'll have
seen
to
it.
take a look at it.
I can't really comment on it.
Gina Davis, haven't heard that name in a while.
Well, Gina Davis, I'm sure you remember this, Jen, but she's an actress, and I used
Yeah.
to really like her. She was in Beetlejuice and many other.
League of Her Own, Stuart
Yeah,
Little,
yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
yeah. I like her. I mean, I
Yeah.
have liked her. Not really surprised. If he's saying she's a feminist, not really surprised about that.
Yeah.
So go ahead and ask Nick's question. We have about 12 minutes left, and I'm going to
Okay.
end right at 10 tonight.
So he says, I'm a man. I can get stifled. I'd like to know what his definition of stifled is. In real life, people are always trying to simmer me down. Okay, I guess that's what he meant. God gave me this energy and people try to take it away.
Mm.
And then he said, I have feelings. Sometimes I care what others think. Then I question if I'm too excited.
Wow.
I think I've known people like this, and it's not a bad thing.
No.
You're being you, Nick. And I'd say embrace it. And if people are trying to stifle you, maybe try to find some friends that are going to embrace who you are and celebrate your energy.
Beautiful. Beautiful point.
Yeah. And you're right. God gave you that energy. He gave it to you for a reason, And
Yeah.
gosh, we could use more of that. I feel like I think our world in a big way is very stifling.
Yeah.
No good.
Agreed. I agree with what Jen said, Nick. For every person that wants to stifle you, there are people out there that would love that energy, that would love to be around you, love to hear your ideas and to experience your energy. Because a lot of people are low energy; they're not able to have that what you have, and a lot of people would appreciate that.
You need to hang out here with us more, Nick.
Yeah, you're welcome, Nick. You can hang out anytime you like. We like energy here. We welcome it. We welcome your comments. We welcome you being here, and you can be whoever you want. You don't have to be someone else or
Some stifled version of yourself that your friends and family think you should be.
Exactly. We're not going to stifle you.
No. And I just want to validate him real quick.
Yeah.
That's very hurtful when you are finding Christ and finding yourself and who God wants you to be. And you have people that are close to you that you want to accept you and embrace you and celebrate you and delight in you, and they're stifling you. That's very hurtful, and I'm so sorry that's happening. It's very discouraging, and I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. Well, it's nice. Yeah.
Grr.
Yeah. I wouldn't waste any more time if it's friends and family. If they're people that really can't be avoided, you can at least find people that are more willing to enjoy who you are. That's what I'll say about that. They are out there. People that would enjoy you are out there. Just a matter of finding them. Don't you think, Jen? They're out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know he's at a job in the woods right now, and I just said that the woods is a great place to go and be you.
Oh yeah.
Just go and get that energy out and be yourself. And
Great advice.
the woods isn't judgmental.
Yeah, the woods likes who you are. You can be yourself.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it.
Great time, guys. Good questions.
Yeah,
Whole
great
plethora of stuff.
We didn't.
It gives us an idea, too, on what's on y'all's minds and hearts. Because as we go forward and do some write-ups for the shows, the weeks to come, it helps us know what's important to you guys and what you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
So that's good.
We like hearing from you. So if you guys enjoyed this, let us know, because the few times that we've done this, it seems like we've had some positive feedback about it. Sometimes people just like to have a conversation. As I said in the description, the reason why we did it this week is because I've just been swamped. And in fact, I was working on a project all day, and I started last night, and I hadn't, other than kicking some ideas around on the next topic, I wasn't ready, and I didn't want to force it. So I reached out to Glenn, and he agreed that trying to force it is not ever good, and we want to give him a break. So I wouldn't have thought about asking him to pull something together at the last minute. So tomorrow is my last day of training, and I'm going to feel a lot better when that's over with. Then I just have work, and I don't have any other stuff. And because I have a project that's due by the end of the day tomorrow, and I'm almost done with that. So it's going to be a really kind of relaxing week, even though I have work. It takes a lot. So it's 4 hours a day. Training starts at 9 a.m. And then 3 weeks unpaid training. And I'm not complaining. It's over. So there's no need to complain. I got one more day to endure.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying I'm glad that it's over, and I'll kind of go back to a more what I would consider normal schedule. And I will have time to work on, I'll have an entire week to work on the topic for next Sunday, which I talked a little bit in the description about that. I want to talk about God is dead, the concept of God. And Nietzsche wrote a poem. I think it's a poem. Other people have called it other things, but it's kind of a poetic thing about God being dead. And many of you know Nietzsche is considered an atheist. And he may have been an atheist, but this particular thing that he wrote, I found provocative and thought-provoking, and wanted to share that and get some questions around that concept. And I'm not talking about killing God physically, but in society, have we killed God? I mean, if Nietzsche was asking that, and I need to check and see when he wrote it, but it was well over 100 years ago, I believe. So if he was asking that question back then, how much further down the road are we in this realm of killing God, the concept of God? So that's what we're going to talk about next Sunday, and I hope you all will enjoy us for that. And we'll have some questions to talk about, and we would love to hear your comments on it next week. So we will be meeting Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on the Discord channel. I'm going to post the link again in the description, or post it in the chat here just real quick.
Awesome.
Just take me a second. There we go. So if you haven't been over there, people pop in from time to time, so you're welcome anytime. You can just you can chat, back and forth, or you can go into the voice channel and talk to each other like that if you haven't been in there before. And on Tuesdays, it's just us talking and hanging out. So you guys are more than welcome to come. It's not recorded or anything like that. It's not a broadcast. It's just kind of hanging out for a while. Sometimes we do an hour. Sometimes we do 2. Sometimes people stay after Jen and I leave and have these great conversations, and you're more than welcome to do that. So we invite you Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Sweet.
So there we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes, and we'll start with Glenn. Glenn, say goodbye to the peoples for us.
Good night, everyone. I must say I'm very much looking forward to Cripps as inspiration next week. That should be fun. Another atheist potentially on the program. I won't feel so alone. Thanks, Cripps.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Glenn? Just as I'm saying about Nietzsche being considered an atheist, you often say things that kind of fly in the face of the concept of what an atheist is and the way an atheist, quote unquote, an atheist should think, in my opinion, just my opinion. And I've said this so many times to you and said it publicly, that I think that oftentimes you think more on point than a lot of so-called believers do when it comes to spiritual things or things about God. And it's just amazing to me. So maybe that's true about Nietzsche too. We'll find out as we discuss it next week.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. I appreciate the support there. Jen, if you'd say goodbye to the people for me.
Good night, people. You guys have a great night. Good sleep. Have a great week. It's Monday tomorrow. Boo and yay.
Boo and yay, yeah.
So grateful that you guys are here. Thank you so much for your questions and your thoughts, and just coming to hang out with us. We really appreciate it, guys. Really enjoy your company.
Yeah,
so
we sure do. We'll say a quick hello and goodbye to my friend John, who popped in here at the end. I don't know, he might have been listening, but just popped in at the end. So hello, buddy. Good to see you. And hello to End Time Teacher. Welcome. I'm not sure who you are, but if you care to share your name with us, then that'd be awesome. You don't have to, of course. But I think you've been in here before, but I'm not sure we're acquainted officially. But welcome. So I do see that many of you have put a like on there for us, and we appreciate that. If you haven't done that already, please do so. That just lets people know that some people like the broadcast. If you do like these broadcasts, we would also appreciate it if you just tell people. If you have a friend or relative or someone that you know that you think might benefit from being part of these conversations, it's just simply talking about it. Send them the link, when it comes up. And you can't make anybody listen, but we would always like more people to join the conversation, because I feel like the more people in the conversation, the more questions come out, and the better the conversation. Just have we welcome different ideas and things like that. We're not suppressing anyone's opinion. We're not banning people in here. We've never had to ban anyone. I don't remember ever having done that. Maybe back in the day, I think we had trouble with someone, and but if we did it that one time, we didn't do it again, because Glenn reacted violently to that, and I understand why, and I agree with him now. how are we going to get people to come to the table and have discussions if we're just banning people if we don't like what they're saying?
Yeah.
But everyone in here is so well behaved. There's no reason to ban anybody or get rid of anyone or suppress anyone.
And honestly, if somebody did come in the chat that was rude, or we would just ask questions and be kind and gentle and patient. And
Yeah.
if need be, if they got out of hand, we would just not talk to them. Just let them do their thing. And
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Believe on Lord Jesus Christ says you will love it, Jen. You and Jason got to go noodling and make a video. Not sure what that is.
Glenn said, I don't want to see that. It's not sexual, Glenn. Something to do with catfish. Still not sexual. It's fishing. I think I need to check it out on YouTube first.
Yeah, we'll check.
Actually, erase everything I said. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's something fishing related because we were talking about fishing in the chat.
There you go.
That's so funny. All right, guys. Good
That's
night.
it.
Love
Good night,
you guys. We'll
guys.
see you Tuesday, 8:30.
And thank you for being part of tonight's broadcast. Open topic, open discussion. Appreciate everyone's questions and comments. Thank you very much. We'll see some of you or hear some of you Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in the Discord. I did pop that in there for you. One last thing, if you have any comments or suggestions about the show, you can always send me an email, truestorylive.cripps@gmail.com. And if you want to pass something along to Glenn or Jen, if you give it to me, then I can forward it to them. I know both of them at one time or another have posted their email in here, but you can reach them through me. I'll just send it. If you don't want me to read it, just put that in the subject line, and I won't read it. I promise. I just forward it over. Okay. All right, that's it for us. I hope everyone has a good week, and thank you for being part of the broadcast. Until then, good night and God.